What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I am your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone is having a great Labor Day and hope you all had a great weekend as well. We had week one of the college football season. We're just one game away from closing week one, but I hope you all are having a great Labor Day, had a great weekend, and just enjoying the food and fun with your family and friends out there. So, yeah. As always, we appreciate you all listening in to the show. You know where to find us. We're on many streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Audible, and Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It helps us out a lot. It helps us know what we're doing and how we can improve the show for the future for you all. So we very much appreciate you all's support. As always, you know who I'm with. I'm here with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. What's going on, Chris?
Man, I'm feeling great as we record the show. Week one, essentially in the books. We still, have one more on the docket. But one more game on this plate. But for the most part, week one is in the book, and it did not disappoint. We had plenty of questions going into the weekend, Kory, and I think we got some answers. And then in some cases, we had more questions. But overall, it was a great time.
It was a great time. Very much enjoyed this week in college football. We got one more game. Got Boston College taking on Florida State. We'll definitely talk about that on our week 2 prediction show. Chris, coming up this Friday for you good folks.
Right.
Yep. So we'll definitely get into the aftermath of that. But yeah, it was a great week one. Hoping everyone is enjoying their Labor Day out there, and we're here to get into the week that was week one, which was a wild one, Chris.
Yes.
What game should we start off first? Because it was just so many games that we had.
Before we start off with the game, I do want to throw this nugget out there real quick. I just want to touch on it real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. I'm gonna keep warming up to this new ESPN. Well, the SEC on ABC Music. I wasn't feeling it at first. Maybe I just needed to sit down on the couch on Saturday and have the vibes going. But I'm low key warming up to it, Kory.
Look, me and my brother was we were talking about that yesterday. We were kind of like listening to it back and forth, and it just kind of gave us like that old like mid to late 90s nostalgia.
it gives you those vibes without having the nostalgia of being that exact same tune.
Exactly.
But it sounds like that timing.
Right. It definitely does.
That's why I'm like, Cole, I was sitting down. Like, hey, do I like this? I think I like this. I think I'm warming up to the music. At first, I did not like it at all. This first was unveiled, and then I just sat down, and the game about to start, and I got me a cold one, and it just hit me. I think this might be the one. This might ESPN might have cooked.
Yeah. It's the bop. It's the bop of the season right now.
Oh yeah. I just want to say that, for the record, y'all might be on to something out there at Disney. I think we got one.
Yeah. I really like it. I enjoy it. Really makes me feel like I'm back in the 90s again. So, we old heads around here, so we kind of got that feeling of those kinds of themes. I also made a joke with my brother. I was like, man, this sounds like you watching ABC television, and like the commercial comes on talking about college football, and you hear this music, and then like afterwards you get a TGIF commercial.
Yes, yes, yes. No, definitely, definitely. You talk about the vibes of like the '90s and the 2000s. And which game we should start with first? I think we should start with the one we saw Sunday night, Corey, with USC and LSU. It's definitely you got some early 2000s, some '90s vibes from that ball game.
I agree. I agree that game had everything. If you all watched last night's game between the USC Trojans and the LSU Tigers, it was a very fascinating game for all four quarters. But in the end, USC defeated LSU 27-20 in Las Vegas. So it was a really tough game, ground and pound. Both defenses were making plays, but overall, I can say, Chris, USC, man, they got some dudes on their team, and they've actually they figured things out on a dime, just like that, heading into the Big Ten now, where there's so many teams out there that are much bigger, faster, stronger than them. Or I guess I should say they were before USC decided to. Yeah. You know, what USC has done, what Lincoln has done with this team, and the strength and conditioning, getting them prepared for what's to come in the Big Ten. It's amazing. Like, they showed a lot of their players and what they looked like when they were in the Pac-12 and what they've become this season, what they had to do to prepare. So it really showed on the football field, Chris, that, hey, you put the time in, we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, LSU athlete for athlete, this is a top five program in the nation when you look at across the board, just the players that they have on the roster. And USC, it's like, okay. And just kept it going, kept it pushing. Miller Moss, 378 passing yards.
That's
on the
insane.
big stage. This is a testament to him seeing things through and not hitting the portal. A quarterback who's been with that program for years now. This is coming to be his redshirt junior year, so a 4-year player in the program. Sat behind Caleb Williams. Didn't leave. Knows the system in and out. He's Lincoln's guy, and it showed in this ball game. And so shout out to Miller Moss for putting his name on the big stage. An LA kid from Los Angeles. So this is what he's been dreaming of, you would assume, playing quarterback for SC, being from LA, and having the kind of performance that he had. Big time win for USC, and this is how you build momentum joining a new conference, and giving life to a program that many people were so disappointed in how last season played out. But who knows, man? Maybe they're riding the ship out there in SC, and this season could be a very good year for them.
No, you're right. I feel like you're absolutely right, Chris. Just seeing what they, like what I mentioned earlier, like the strength and conditioning of getting those guys mentally and physically prepared to take on an LSU team that, for all intents and purposes, last season, their defense was pretty much non-existent. This season, they look like they got a little bit sharper on defense, but they're
more athletic, but it's like the mental mistakes are still there. They're very undisciplined.
Yeah, and I have to fall. I have to put that fault on Brian Kelly at this point. Like, you can't. I saw the stat as well of since he's been there, the record that he has with like starts of season, like season openers. They're not good. Yeah, he just don't win them. So, that's alarming. On top of what is this defense doing to insert their wheel on teams? It's kind of like that weird brain fart where they're letting guys like run through the hole through them like almost every play.
Yeah, and then just mental lapses. Guys like Major Burns, he's been with the program, and he has some, not to put the fault on him, but he did have a few plays in this game that really hurt the defense. The encroachment that USC ultimately scored a touchdown on,
right?
Where he was, he might as well just been offside. Just go for it. But you try to get back onside, and then SC snaps the ball. They take the deep shot. They got the free play, and they take advantage. I mean, it's
good play by
mistakes like that. Definitely great play by him. High IQ veteran quarterback play. But it's plays like that, man. That's where games are won and lost. You can't be doing that as a guy that's been in the program for some years now.
No, you're right. It was just those weird moments, and we saw it for majority of the game in various spots. But we saw it. We saw when they did make plays, but we also saw those mental lapse plays, like you mentioned. That was like, that's weird. Why would you do that? But yeah, all in all, I think Lincoln, he coached the hell out of this game. Those like final minutes in that fourth quarter was paramount in them getting the dub. So I definitely I tip my hat off to Lincoln, Miller Moss.
Same.
I tip it off to Woody Marks. I mean, we know all about Woody, Chris.
Yeah, we know about Woody. Yeah, we state transfer. It's so interesting seeing these West Coast teams, man. Get these state guys, and then they just put on a show for them. Dylan Johnson.
Yeah.
So with Washington, now SC got their hands on Woody Marks, and you saw the impact he had.
Right. So it's really great to see that out of those guys that persevere in other schools, particularly our school, and then they go out there and they really do the work, of course. So yeah, man, it was a great game. USC got the win, and what I guess we can look on both ends of the spectrum. Before we talk about USC and what they have ahead of them, let's start off with LSU. What do you think LSU? What does this loss mean for LSU? What do you think they have to do in order to make sure that they can have a successful season?
The schedule is fair for LSU going forward, but they got to lock in. They do have to lock in. You have Nicholls State coming up, should be an easy win, but then you go to South Carolina. That's going to be a hostile environment. Granted, South Carolina did not look impressive at all. They were in a fight for their everlasting life with Old Dominion. I'm talking about a scrap to the end. Old Dominion got everything they wanted from South Carolina that game.
Yeah, Sellers really had he really had to fight for that win.
It was a scrap, just a good old fashioned bare knuckles fight. They did not get that win easily. So that can possibly be a get right game for LSU team and give them a good conference win.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got UCLA, South Alabama. So there's some games in the mix for them to get some positive momentum before they welcome Ole Miss to town. And that's when it gets real.
Yeah.
Ole Miss comes to town. You go to Arkansas. You go to A&M. Bama comes to town. You go to the Swamp. Maybe by then the Gators will be checked out. We'll see. When you welcome Vandy, you can't overlook Vandy now.
No.
And then you welcome Oklahoma.
Yeah, which should be a doozy of a game.
So conference play, man. Was conference play starts in October? Well, it gets really going in October. It's going to be on and popping for LSU. They got to find themselves these next few weeks and really get everything in sync before that Ole Miss weekend.
No, you're right. You're right. They gotta sew up some things definitely on their defense. Their offense, Garrett Nussmeier, he showed a lot of poise in that game. It wasn't that he had a terrible game. I mean, you can probably say there were a few things that he could do.
There's a couple plays he wants back, but he did not play bad at all.
Yeah, he didn't play bad at all. Like he rose to the occasion when they needed him to. So if I'm Garrett Nussmeier, I'm like, shit, I didn't lose
You're right. No, he can't blame himself. He's probably going to blame himself. There's a couple throws we know he wants back. Everybody in a loss, he gonna want the plays back. But overall, he played a very good game.
Yeah, he did. I was very impressed by John Emery Jr., a guy that we also remember him as well, Chris. He was once a Mississippi State guy, commit at one point. Went to LSU. He's been there. Almost transferred out. I think he did put himself in the transfer portal. Decided to come back, and he's worked his tail off a lot over the offseason, and it showed that he can be a capable running back. In this
physical offense. Boy,
yeah, very physical. Like you better look all this shoulder tackling that we see nowadays. Look, you got 2 arms.
You better use them, man. Who are you telling?
Oh man, because he coming right at you.
Yes.
Like a freeway train.
It don't matter how close he is to the sideline. He's not choosing to go to the sideline.
No.
You will have to drive him out of bounds.
What's the sideline? Let's just keep running.
Exactly. No, he's here for the contact.
Exactly.
Like he gets better with each hit. So they definitely have a good physical back with him in their backfield.
No, I agree. So that's for the LSU side. For the USC side, before we move on to our next game, Chris, big win for them. Like I mentioned, what can they do going forward throughout the rest of the season to make sure that they can make a name for themselves in college football and most importantly in the Big Ten Conference?
Hey. If they keep playing with this physicality on defense, and if Miller Moss is throwing for, granted, we know LSU has had a secondary problem the last couple seasons, but this secondary is a more talented group, younger, but more talented than what they've had the last couple of years. If they're doing this against LSU athletes and Miller Moss's first game, really holding down the fort for real for this team, they might be on to something, Kory. You got Utah State next. We expect them to take care of business and blow them out.
Yeah.
But then on the 21st, you go to the Big House. That game was I'm very curious to see what the spread winds up being for that game. When it's that time, because
right now
Michigan had their struggle.
Oh no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I actually see it right now. Michigan is a 9.5 point favorite to win that football game. Maybe it's
We're gonna
just
see
that
how much
they're in the big house. I don't know.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see. But hey, look, based on what we saw this weekend, I will be very tempted to take those points and,
I would too.
and roll with that C in this matchup. Um, so we're going to see, but that game is a lot. It's very intriguing, and I think USC has a legit chance of going into Big House and winning
Yeah,
based on what we saw on Sunday. So if they are able to secure that win, you set yourself up for a undefeated showdown when you welcome Penn State to the Coliseum. So it could be a very good year for USC. This is a schedule you can navigate. There's some games in there, but you do avoid Ohio State. You avoid Oregon. Hey man, we'll see. We will see. But SC definitely impressed, but from what we saw on Sunday night.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. It's manageable. Got a couple would-be trap games for me in Nebraska, Notre Dame.
Hmm.
Those kinds of teams. I mean, we don't. I guess I would have to look at a little bit more of Washington just to see what Will Rogers is doing now for the
If
Huskies.
Will Rogers is the quarterback, I think they should be able to get past Washington respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
So, yeah. No, you're right. It's manageable. Everything's in front of them. They just got to go out there and compete. So yeah, man. It was a really good game. Enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with both of these teams as the season progresses. But anything else you want to add, Chris, before we move on?
No, sir. We can keep it going.
Nice, nice. Well, from USC and LSU in Vegas, Chris, we got to go all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, where,
Hmm.
for the first half, both these teams were, kind of, playing a little tug of war. But by the second half, Georgia Bulldogs came in, put that work on the Clemson Tigers, 34-3, in the Aflac kickoff game. It was a it was a big day for Carson Beck. He was 23 for 33, 278 yards with 2 touchdowns. Cade Klubnik, he was just 18 for 29, 142 yards and no touchdowns, and he threw, which was a very impressive pick down the field in that ball game. Man, it's just another year, Chris. Another year of Dabo Swinney, heighten up those expectations to the Clemson faithful, only for them to be let down in the end. I look, I don't know what it's like to be a Clemson fan at all, but I feel for Clemson fans. I feel for Clemson fans by seeing that mess on the football field over the weekend. What do you think about it, Chris?
There's been brighter days. There's been much better days to be a Clemson fan. Yeah. Granted, they did go up against Georgia's defense, but this offense, man, it's lacking severely, Kory. Severely. Like, where's the game breaker? Who can just bust a play open for you when you need one? We haven't seen nobody emerge from the Clemson offense that can do so. And that's what you need in college football, man. And if you're going to be one of the premier programs without premier players, that math ain't math. That don't go together, Kory.
Not at all. Like,
you ain't gonna be premier without the cream of the crop on your roster, and we ain't seen it yet.
right. Yeah, it's they got a lot that they have to deal with now, Chris. It's I don't see how it's going to get fixed at this point now. Like, after a couple of games, I'd say after 5-6 games, Chris, and just as good as I do, you kind of are who you are. I mean, granted, that was just the first game, but I got a sense.
This has been Clemson the last 3 years.
Yeah, this has been Clemson the last 3 years. I don't think. Let's see how many more games they can play to improve it. I don't even think that's in the bingo card at this point. It's not. Like, they are who they are. Like, they have decent players, but they don't have elite players anymore. They don't have those players like a Ross at receiver, ETN at running back, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. They don't have those guys anymore. Those great D lines that they had.
They don't have the D Hops, the Mike Williams, the Hunter Renfros, the Deion Kane, the T Higgins. We're not seeing that.
Exactly. That's gone. And it sucks. It sucks if you're a Clemson fan. So
then you look at Georgia, and they pull Nick Marshall out, freshman running back, and he out here looking like the second coming of Herschel Walker. He ain't the one that you're supposed to be worried about.
Exactly.
That's his partner. That's Nick Marshall. Nate Frazier, from California. Nate Frazier, that young man is something nasty, and it's ETN who's the starter. So Georgia's going to be just fine with what they have, with all the players they have at their disposal. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big development in the ball game is that ETN did not play in this game, but step aside, Nate Frazier comes in, Chris, puts the pause literally on Clemson.
Yeah.
That was great to see in terms of like the depth that Georgia has coming back. They're
same thing on the outside.
Right.
Same thing on the outside. Cash Jones came in and made some big plays for them and was really good blocking as well. Cash Jones, probably one of the best blocking wide receivers in the nation.
I can give him that.
You saw some of the runs Frazier had.
Yeah.
You see a Cash Jones right there in the clip too.
I know.
Somebody hemmed up.
I know it, and I think Kirby shouted out Cash Jones right after the ball game. He said, this is a guy that's been with their program for years. Give this guy a lot of credit for him righting the ship and really locking himself into this program and what. Yeah,
I believe he was a walk-on.
Yeah. He been there from the beginning.
You think about it, you a preferred walk-on at Georgia. Like your mentality. Yeah, we're gonna get some love to Cash Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have a different kind of mentality, man. Like you're at the top program in the nation, college football. All these 4-star, 5-star guys being brought on,
right?
Throughout all the positions, nothing but 4 stars coming in, 5-star guys coming in, and you gotta have a crazy amount of belief in yourself to see this thing through and to be able to earn not just a Scally, but to get on the field. And he did that.
He did that.
You know what I'm saying? He's out here. So, shout out to Cash Jones because he's definitely a guy that Kirby loves and respects because it takes a different kind of want to earn the place, to earn the spot that he's earned on this roster. And it was great to see him get some love and have his moment and make plays in that game.
Right. So hats off to Georgia overall. It was
Georgia's fine.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine. They got a lot of depth, and a lot of the guys we just mentioned showcase that on Saturday. We'll look at both teams, Chris. I guess we'll start with Clemson before we look at Georgia for the rest of the season. This is the same thing, same song and dance every year. What do you think, Chris, needs to be done now? Like, is it too late? Too little? Too late? Can Dabo do anything to figure this thing out, or are we looking at which we don't wish any ill will on anyone, but in terms of him being the head ball coach at Clemson, it's starting to kind of get that sentiment that those days are fading away.
Those days do seem to be fading. I will say, for Clemson's sake, when you look at their schedule, there are a couple teams that are ranked currently that didn't look too hot either in their season openers. So that's the saving grace for them. At least they went toe-to-toe with Georgia for the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can feel very good about Clemson's defense. Clemson's defense wore down as that game continued. You know what I'm saying? If your offense isn't stringing along drives and putting up points, the defense was eventually going to fold, and that's what happened in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have a really solid group on defense, but NC State did not look great. Florida State, of course, lost Georgia Tech.
Right.
Virginia's still kind of on the come up. Tech, Tech didn't look good either. They had their struggles against Vandy.
Yeah.
I mean, and we already mentioned South Carolina and how they were. So
yeah.
Clemson's schedule is kind of submitted, to be honest with you. So they could still mess around and maybe have a team that can find a way to the ACC championship game. As crazy as that sounds, they might be okay. But I just don't think this team is good. Like, even if they find a way into the playoff, easy dub for whoever they're playing.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's you might be good enough to win the ACC, but are you good enough to take on this long season that now has a 12-team playoff included?
Mm-hmm. Or even you might be good enough to make to earn the right to get beat down by Miami in the ACC championship game. But that's really what it's going to boil down to. That's what it would be.
Exactly. I think this is I think in terms of the ACC, I think this is all Miami's to win this season. We'll see how they handle the schedule, but man,
yeah,
for Clemson, good luck.
Good luck. I mean, even games like Louisville, Louisville look great. Louisville look
they did.
They are humming.
Yeah.
So there's some matchups in here. There's some games sprinkled in where Clemson will have to come with it. But yeah, we'll see how this season plays out. But not too high on the Tigers, and they're not terrible either. So it's like another meh kind of season. It feels like.
Yeah. I just wonder if you're the administration at Clemson. How long do you take meh?
Yeah. Maybe you might have to have a meeting and bring them in and be like, look, you have to use this portal, buddy. I know you love your recruits, but you have to use this portal if you're going to be the coach here in Clemson. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what plays out.
We'll definitely see. But yeah, that's all we can say on the Clemson side right now. For Georgia, real quick, Chris, they got the dub to start off the season. Man, it's just another year of Georgia dominance. It seems like to me. I have a hard time seeing anybody go toe to toe with this team. They just look really, really good right now. Yeah. Man, this offense will only continue to get better and better. We didn't even see Delp
cook up in this game.
No, he didn't. He's not on the stat sheet, which surprised me.
Not on the stat sheet, and trust me, people, you'll see him on the stat sheet going forward, but this is just how the game played out. So many pieces that Georgia can scheme open. So many talented guys, and they have a schedule on them, boy. I mean, we're going to learn a whole lot about Georgia. But we if there's one thing we know, this team, they are sound and fundamental, and also talented. And if you're sound, disciplined, along with extremely talented, you're gonna have a chance to win every game you play.
No, you're right. You're right. So it's a long season ahead of them. But yeah, if they really lock in and they showcase that on the gridiron, I think they'll be just fine this year. They'll be able to take back that number one ranking that was taken from them last season against Bama.
No, they are, and they are going to earn. They're going to earn these wins. You play at Kentucky, at Alabama, at Texas. Auburn Auburn didn't look like no slouch either this weekend.
No.
Home against Auburn. Home against Tennessee. Home against Georgia Tech. This is a good old mid-2000s SEC schedule you got right here, boy. This feels like an SEC West schedule. This is murder's row.
Oh man! So yeah, they got an opportunity to rise to the occasion this season, Chris. So we'll definitely see what happens with the Bulldogs, but they got Clemson out the way. Now they can go forward and plan out for the rest of the season. So we'll definitely be talking about them in the world of college football this season. But partner, anything else you want to add to this game before we move on?
No, sir. We can keep it moving.
All right. So next game we have for y'all on today's show, we got Notre Dame. They headed to College Station to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. First year head coach for the Aggies, Mike Elko, taking on Will Howard, a guy that not Will Howard, Riley Leonard. Taking on his old quarterback in this ball game. This was a big game that a lot of people, myself included, and you as well, Chris, we were getting excited to watch this ball game, and I think it delivered at the end. And overall, I know you had picked A&M to squeak out with the victory. Myself, I chose Notre Dame in getting just a little bit of the edge at the end. Notre Dame won this game 23-13. So it was a very, very interesting ball game. Had a lot of defense. So if you're somebody, yeah, absolutely. So if you're somebody that likes defensive football games, you got it in this one. But overall, Chris, what did you think about this matchup?
Man, I walked away after watching this game just very impressed with Notre Dame. This is a team that they are locked in. They are locked in. This defense will be a problem for teams as the season continues. I really was just impressed overall from them going into this hostile environment, and the defense did what it had to do, and the offense made plays. I feel like A&M, they had the better players, like the better athlete. When you look at A&M's defense compared to Notre Dame's offense. But that didn't stop Notre Dame from chopping down that tree, running the football, getting first downs here and there, extending drives, and ultimately making just enough plays to get the separation needed, and that defense brought it on home for them. So, great win by Notre Dame to get this season started, and I think this begins their playoff campaign. I think this is the team that you saw a playoff team. You for sure saw a playoff defense on Saturday, but I think overall, this is a playoff team.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. You picked off Connor Wegman 2 times in the ball game. Yeah, you really inserting yourself.
And we highlighted that Notre Dame secondary going into this ball game, just how talented Notre Dame secondary is, and it showed.
Right. No, we did, and yeah, like you said, they really rose to the occasion in this ball game, and I was very, very satisfied with what I saw with this defense. So, it was a great game for Notre Dame, and getting the W. For A&M, it's a first year. There's a lot of things that Mike Elko has to do to improve his football team, and not all the answers are going to be shaping out by week 1 of the college football season. So it takes time.
No. Not against the team that we anticipate is going to be a playoff team.
Exactly.
Good luck. Your first game as head coach, hey, you're taking on Notre Dame. Go get them, coach.
Exactly. like this, you're asking too much. So I preface that if you're an Aggies fan, just be patient. I mean, there were some good things for A&M in this game too. I mean, you still have a couple people back on this team. You got Le'Veon Moss. I mean, he scored a touchdown in this game. Had 20 carries for 70 yards. So it was one of those things where they got to take those baby steps. Connor Wegman has to take those baby steps. He has to get more confident in being the leader of that ball team. So we'll see what happens with A&M going forward. But it was great crowd. It's Kyle Field. They're always going to show up when there's big games.
Yeah.
So I'd say be patient. Be patient, Aggies fans.
For sure.
Don't jump off the wagon yet.
Yeah, don't do so just yet. I'm pretty sure they understand that as well. It would have been great, a great start to see them be able to get the win and get that momentum rolling for this season. Like, okay, maybe we are a little bit ahead of schedule. Maybe we really can compete for a playoff position. And there's a lot of football left to be played. Don't get me wrong. So maybe they can grow into that team. You go toe to toe with the team we anticipate being in the playoffs. You're in position to compete. So I think they'll be just fine as the season progresses.
Nah, I agree with you. It's a long season ahead for both teams. But if you're Texas A&M, it's a long season for you as well. So I mean, look on the bright side, Aggies fans. I mean, a couple weeks, you got Florida. might be a good win, to celebrate.
Might be a get right game.
Yeah, it might be one of those.
Be a get right game. Yeah. Oh man.
Well, before we get to them, we'll just kind of look, have our closing remarks on both of these teams, Chris. So we'll start off with Texas A&M. What are some of the things that you look for forward and for them to get better throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to see Connor Wegman take a leap. Continue to get settled into this new system. We did say just how good of a secondary going into this ball game Notre Dame has. So it really is kind of difficult to judge him on this game alone. Mm-hmm. But if they do want to take their next step and be able to compete this season, to maybe sneak their way into the big dance to the CFP, they will need him to elevate his play in games highly contested like this as the season continues. So that's what I'll be looking out for as the season progresses is his development and how comfortable he gets in his offense.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Yeah, we'll see what happens this season for them. For Notre Dame, well, what are you looking for Notre Dame?
Yeah, as far as Notre Dame goes, I think they're in great shape. I think we're looking at probably a top 20 defense in college football, top 15 defense. This is I think an elite group. So yeah, I don't see too many offenses that can do nothing with them on their schedule. Maybe a Louisville. That'll be a very interesting game. When those two teams play each other, they have Louisville at home this year. Then they also have Florida State at home. Boy, Florida State they got a schedule on them. It's you playing Miami, you playing Notre Dame, boy. It's tough for FSU. But yeah, I think Notre Dame is in prime position to have maybe an undefeated record heading into one of the premier rivalries in college football at the end of the season when they go visit USC.
Yeah, no, you're right, Chris. Like the way their schedule is set up, winning against an SEC team when you're mostly going to be playing in that middle of the season, a bunch of ACC teams, getting those, racking up those wins, and possibly getting the opportunity to play and defeat a team like USC. That's a pretty good resume, I'd say, if you're Notre Dame, if you can handle the season properly. So, that's something that the College Football Committee will definitely be looking at with Notre Dame as the season progresses. But, I agree with you. I think how the way it's laid out is perfect for them. And if they can continue to get better each week, if Riley Leonard can continue to really showcase his skills with his arm and with his legs, I think they'll be right. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, Kory. So big win for Marcus Freeman. This is a huge season for him and his staff and what he's been building there at Notre Dame. So he needed this one, and I think this will go a long way in Notre Dame having the kind of season they anticipate having in South Bend.
Exactly. So yeah, tall tasks for both teams, but I think they're doable in order for them to be successful this season. So we'll see what happens with the Aggies going forward, see how they progress, and we'll also see what happens with Notre Dame going forward. So yeah, any last remarks, my friend, before we move on to our final game?
Nope. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's talk about our preseason darlings.
That's right. So, where can I begin with this game? So this was probably one of the biggest games of the week that I wanted to see outside of the Notre Dame Texas A&M game, and possibly Georgia and Clemson. I was excited about that one, but this game, Chris, for the last couple weeks, this game had been brewing in the state of Florida. You know all about it. You're in that state. You can feel it. You can feel just everything just boiling to what happened on Saturday, Chris. But Miami goes into Gainesville, goes to the Swamp, and puts on a whipping on the Gators, 41-17. My guy Cam Ward, the man looked like a Heisman leader after this game.
Yes.
From beginning to the end, he was 26 for 35, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. for the day. He did throw a pick in that game as well. But with a 95.7 QBR rating, yeah, man, the man the man looked flawless. He could do no wrong in this game.
None.
But yeah, it was just a impeccable performance by the Hurricanes. It almost looked like it actually was a hurricane that happened in that stadium, Chris. By the way,
There was. It swept all the Gator fans out of there by the time the fourth quarter rolled around.
But man, like, goodness gracious. Like, we talk about Clemson, Chris. Let's talk about the Gators. First of all, let me just go over the stats for Graham Mertz. Our prefaces, I like Graham. I think he's a capable quarterback. But 11 for 20, just 91 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception thrown. That's not going to do you a lick of good, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I say this throughout the game and by saying that there was at one point where I think it was heading towards halftime. I felt that Florida was playing Miami fairly well. They were both, taking licks against each other. You know, they were, trading blows at
exchanging
one point.
blows. Yeah, right.
But man, by the time that second half came, it was like they were non-existent. The offense was non-existent. The defense was non-existent. And they just got schooled at the end. But
for a route.
Yeah, it was rough to see. But overall, Chris, what were your thoughts about the outcome of this game? What did you think?
We said in our prediction show that we expected Miami to run away with the win as the game progressed, and that's exactly what happened. Look, we had Miami preseason top 10 for a reason. This team has all of the talent in the world. I'm going to say it now. They are a legitimate national championship contender. Now, it's baby steps now. They do have to continue to win. Going to have people patting them on the back. This is going to be new territory for some of these guys. Miami hasn't been the U. They've been Miami the last few years, but they have not been the U lately.
Right.
They look like the U on Saturday.
They look like the U once again. Like, man, I felt like I was watching. I felt like I was watching early '90s Miami Hurricanes. Like, man, they were looking sharp.
They were looking sharp. And this is game one on the road against an SEC defense full of great players as well. Florida is a very talented roster. Now, they might not have executed very well, but the players are there in Florida. And Miami, like, okay. And it was business as usual for them. This team is loaded. Cam Ward is legit. He is definitely a Heisman candidate. He is not only someone that can lead your offense, he is someone that can make plays when there's a play that's needed to be made. This Miami team is awesome. I think they're about to do some ugly things to teams in the ACC as this season progresses for us.
No, you're right, man. Cam Ward, he just looked impeccable. Xavier Restrepo, which I think I remember him when he was getting recruited. Like, man's a dog. He's a beast. Didn't he have that great play where he
crazy catch where he reached back when Cam rolled out the pocket and he threw it to him and he somehow got that catch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're talking about. It was early in the ball game.
Yeah, I think he had that. But I was also talking about the one where he like spin juked. Like,
he tore somebody's hammy.
Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I know Xavier Restrepo is a really good, talented football player, but man, they are manhandling this team. Physically, mentally.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He legit tore somebody's hamstring with that move. So yeah, that's what we mean when we say the U is back. Like they have the horses, they got the guys, and I know we're going to get on Florida and what they have going on there, but this is, if you are a top 10 team in the nation. That's why I want to put an emphasis on that. If you are a playoff team, if you are the team that we thought you were going into the season, this is the kind of performance you have on this stage.
Yeah.
So this might be a shock to a lot of people, but this just affirms what we already believed Miami to be. Mm-hmm. We just needed them to show it. And I think we're going to continue to see them show that, display that as the season continues.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know some people have already been saying like, "Oh man, like Miami looks really good," but they play in the ACC. Are they really playing anybody? Are they for real? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it right now, Chris. I know you're thinking of the same thing that I am. I think Miami is for real. I don't think this is a fluke by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, when you are in the state of Florida and you put on a performance like that against one of your rivals, yeah, I think you're here. Flat out.
Definitely. And this is a Florida team that desperately needed to win this game. Mm-hmm. Billy Napier is coaching for his job.
Yes.
Day by day, week by week, hour by hour.
Mm-hmm.
He's coaching for his job. And you still just demolished him, knowing everything that Florida had on the line in this ball game as well. So, yes, a very impressive win by the Canes. And it's just the beginning. I mean, honestly, this is just the beginning. And just based on what we saw this weekend, Kory, just real quick, it truly looks like they are just in their own tier in the conference. I mean, just levels above everybody else.
Yeah.
It looks like it's Miami. And then you could throw Clemson there, possibly. You could throw Louisville in there. I know they ain't played nobody great, but Louisville executed well. They look really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could possibly say Louisville might be the second best team in the conference after what we saw this weekend.
Yeah. the third most complete team in the conference, probably SMU. and it's a little bit by a long shot, but not too much. I'd say after what we've seen from Florida State and Clemson, I mean, I would put SMU third.
I agree. I mean, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be a big year for the Canes, and hopefully everybody who listens to our pod during the off season, was able to profit off of this prediction. Maybe put in a bet that they make the playoff, because if they don't make the playoff, it's because of themselves. We'll just put it like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is their playoff chances this is the year for them to really, rise to the occasion and take that accountability and really put that foot forth and showcasing that they are a capable team to be in the college football playoff. So we'll see what happens with Miami, but we'll get some last remarks, Chris. We'll start with Florida. A bad loss to start the season, like you said.
To your rival, and they play in front of the recruits. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, right. This is in front of the recruits. And I was telling this to my brother Chris. I was like, man, I feel like that the tides are turning in the recruiting sphere when it comes to the Florida Gators now. I'm starting, like, this game made me feel like Miami runs the state of Florida.
Oh, well, and they do.
Yeah.
ain't no feel like they do.
You would know more than I do, my friend. Like, I could see it. If I can see it, I know the rest of the country can see it.
Yes. Yes. No. You don't be shocked in the next we're gonna say a couple months. If maybe some guys that you see on 247 being predicted to Florida, maybe some things might change on the crystal ball here very, very soon. And also, I'm not saying this happens by any means. I haven't been told this information, but it wouldn't shock me if a certain quarterback that's on a Florida roster might be a quarterback for another Florida team in the coming future.
Oh.
It wouldn't shock me if that happened. I'm not saying.
Are you planting a little seed right now, Chris? Are you sprinkling a little seed right now for us?
I might be. But look, all I'm saying is, if I'm him and I see how Cam Ward is playing for Miami in this system, you telling me DJ couldn't do them things either? If he messed around and was the starting quarterback at Miami in his skill set, I'm just saying. That's all. I'm just saying. That's just me, my own two eyes, just seeing how one quarterback is being used. So we'll see. We will see.
We'll see. But yeah, this is there's no sugarcoating this, folks. Like, if you're a Florida fan right now, this is a travesty. Knowing the off season that you had, like you brought in a lot of distractions in multiple different ways. On top of this being the distraction, we all know about the Jaden Rashada situation. You know, like must we forget that? Because I know I won't. You know, that was a mess of its own, Chris. On top of let's bring in Comani McClain, and you see what that was. That was like the real Gators of Gainesville every week.
the real, right. No, some real housewives of the SEC kind of drama right there. So,
like you never knew what the next episode was going to be like with that drama. You know, it sounds like it's kind of died down a little bit now, but just the off season that you had to prepare for a game like this, you go out here and play this game. You know, last recruiting class, you did recruit fairly well, but this is the best you can do. On top of that, you have recruits there that see what happened, and I know you saw the clip, Chris, of the Miami players telling the Florida recruits that were there in Gainesville,
come to the U.
Come to the U. Come to the U. We gonna get you right. And one of them actually do the U logo at the Swamp.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
A travesty, Chris. Just a travesty.
This tickles. This makes me feel so good in so many ways. As a Georgia fan, and as someone that likes when the U is back, when the U is relevant. So it was everything I needed this weekend. But yeah, Kory, it ain't looking good for Florida at all, brother. We've highlighted the schedule numerous times heading into the season. This might be the most difficult schedule ever recorded in college football history. It's insane.
You're right.
You play Stanford next. Cool. Should be a win.
Yes.
Then you welcome A&M to town. You need that win desperately. Desperately. Because if you lose that game, and if you go to Mississippi State, we're just gonna say it right now, Kory. We've been doing this long enough, and we both are Mississippi State alone.
Yes.
If you go to Mississippi State and lose as a coach on the hot seat in the SEC, chances are that might be your last game coaching.
That might be your last game. Look, we are where coaches get axed, okay?
It's no secret. When you lost to
we
Mississippi
bring out the casket for you.
Who did the body? Mississippi State.
Exactly. We print out the walking papers for you.
Oh, man.
Your respective school don't have to do. We already got it for you.
Already. And so, I mean, if you lose to Mississippi State at state, brother, the rest of your schedule, you ain't winning. So that's all they will need to see before they axe Napier. If he loses that game, you ain't got to worry about him coaching the UCF game, the Tennessee game, the Kentucky game, the Georgia game, the Texas game, the LSU game, the Ole Miss game. He ain't making it.
No, to the left. Oh man!
Yeah.
Shout out to Beyonce.
Yeah. No, it's Florida's got it bad, man. It's the A&M game, the A&M, Mississippi State, and possibly UCF. Those three games are critical.
They're critical.
To if Billy Napier continues to see the rest of the season, and if Florida has any reason to want to play the rest of the season.
Yeah. No, you're right, my friend. Yeah, that little 3-game run after Samford. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. And to be honest with you, you got to bye after Mississippi State. So we know a lot of times a lot of ADs and administrative people they take that bye week to think some things through, Chris.
It might not be too much you got to think about that.
Hey, I'm just saying, you walk out starving with a loss,
Yeah, you walking back to Gainesville. Don't go ahead and get your own flight. Don't even worry about getting on team plane. Nope. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that's we can rag on Florida all day. I think there's a lot of other channels out there and podcasts that have been also doing it, Chris. But we had to put our 2 cents in on Florida. That they got a long season ahead of them, so we'll see what happens. But I know me and you don't feel too excited about what's to come with this team after what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, the vibes are not good in Gainesville. If anything, we're just tuned in for the soap opera, for the drama.
Yep. Just get some popcorn ready, get your Coke, sit it down, and kick your feet up,
So are the fans in Gainesville. Look, if you're covering the Gators, your podcasts are going to do numbers. Your articles are going to do numbers. Because if it's anything that sells, it's winning or severe losing. When you're in the middle, nobody worry about you.
Right.
But if you suck, then the fan base is like, we got to do something about this. So
exactly.
It's going to be a lot of content being distributed and being produced out there in Gainesville.
No, you're right. So, yeah, that's everything on the Florida side, Chris. But on the good side of things in the state of Florida, the Miami Hurricanes. What are you looking at with them? Because the sky's the limit with this team. I think they have a really good schedule that they can utilize to show their dominance in college football. What do you think overall?
I think they're in good shape to dominate the league. Uh, you have a couple of tricky matchups. You go to Cal, and you go to Louisville. Now the Cal matchup is interesting just off the simple fact of you're going literally coast to coast. You're in Cal. You're going to be going from Florida all the way to the state of California. So that just makes the game interesting in itself, just because of the time zone difference and just how will your body react to
Exactly.
that much travel.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be an interesting game, and then also Louisville. Their offense looked very well. Like they look like a legit team. Like last season wasn't just last year. It looked like they're going to be a team that will give teams problems. So I think you have to be on your P's and Q's for Louisville, and don't get caught looking ahead at Florida State, who is also the very next week.
Right.
So we will learn a lot about Miami, that Louisville game, because we're going to learn just how focused of a team this team is. But outside of that, man, they really should. They should, based off of the team that they are, they should walk through the ACC.
They should. It's right there for them on a silver platter. So it's going to be up to the Hurricanes. It's going to be up to Mario Cristobal's coaching and preparation each week to get them there. But I think that this team can definitely make it far this season. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll definitely see.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, partner. Those are all of the games that some of the big games that we saw this week. But anything else you want to add? Any games that you saw over the week that kind of impressed you?
I will just I'll give you a couple that I just want to highlight real fast. I really liked what I saw from Baylor. That was a team that we discussed in Bolton's Bet. Just what can we expect from Baylor? And the offense produced. They played very well, and they got off to the kind of start that you want to see from a team that has some new faces in, some new playmakers. They play very well in the system, and Coach Aranda's system. So I like what I saw from the Baylor Bears. Also, we're going to get into just a little more in our next segment, but I feel like Tennessee put on a very good performance.
Yeah.
So, they didn't play anybody great, spectacular, but someone that was high on Tennessee coming into the season, you like what you saw from them, and you like what you saw from Ole Miss. Ole Miss was humming. Granted, they didn't play anybody spectacular, but they put on the kind of performance you want to see from a team that is just infinitely better than the team they were playing against.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, Ole Miss, despite they played Furman, but they look like a well-oiled machine now. So I gotta give them props. Definitely, this is a big year for the Rebels. So we'll definitely see what happens with them going forward. But yeah, they look good. I have to say that. And Nico Iamaleava, the man, the man is a beast. He is a star on the rise, Chris.
Yes.
So
for sure.
Be sure to listen.
And last, Penn State. We give some love to Penn State. We saw some of their offense make some explosives. They had some dynamic plays. You didn't see much of that from their offense last year. So big win for them going to West Virginia and winning that game by 22 points. So I was impressed by them.
Yeah, no, that was good. And Penn State, they had like a big weather delay over there in West Virginia. It was like a long weather delay. But they toughened it out, still went out there and played the ball game and won pretty big. So that was a good win for the Nittany Lions this year. So we'll see what happens with Penn State going forward. But yeah, it was good. Good performance by a lot of these teams, and Bama. You know, it was Caleb DeBoer's first game coaching the Crimson Tide. So you know they look like Bama. You know they
Sure did.
they look like Bama in the end. You know they did play Western Kentucky, but you know they still did what they needed to do, which was insert their will on a lot of teams.
Dominance.
Yeah.
63 zip.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, man. It was a great week overall. Had a lot of great games. And getting ready for a week 2 coming up this week. So we've got Texas and Michigan. A couple other games. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I do know about Texas and Michigan.
Texas, Michigan. We have Tennessee, NC State.
Yes.
That's also a big matchup. We got Iowa State and Iowa. South Carolina, Kentucky.
Yeah, should be a good
games
one
out there.
Yeah.
South Florida, Alabama. South Florida looked good in their opener as well.
They did. So you know that's also an interesting game as well. So yeah,
and we can't forget about Colorado, Nebraska. I would be remiss if
that's the game. That's the game. I had to think about it. I was like, there is another game that's on the horizon that I've been wanting to watch, and you are right. It is that Colorado Nebraska game. So, baby Mahomes taking on Shadir Sanders, Chris.
Exactly. Two guys we anticipate playing against each other on Sundays at some point. We get to see them now in college.
Yes. So I'm going to be interested in watching that game. So I'm definitely going to be locked in for that one. But yeah, man. So before we head out of here today, folks, we have a new segment on the Breakdown Sportscast where we have our Chiefs of the Week. And this is where we select a player or players in college football each week that have really showed out and made a big performance and big name for themselves. So, Chris, I'll start off with you first, sir. Who have you selected for your chief or Chiefs of the week?
Yes, two guys come to mind for myself. I have to give my first Chief to Nico Iamaleava. The Nico era has begun. It is underway in Knoxville, Tennessee. And he did not disappoint. His first career regular season start, 314 passing yards in the first half, which is a program record. He's setting records at Tennessee in his first start. This will not be the last record he sets. Nico is like that. Nico's Heisman campaign is underway as he looks to make a push to be able to be a finalist for the award and lead Tennessee to the playoffs. And he looks spectacular. He looks flawless. I mean, money passes, easy reads, but also just made the effortless throws. I mean, just right there in the breadbasket, right there in strides, players. Nico looked awesome. So he is one of my Chiefs. And the other, I have to give it to Ashton Gentry. He, the Boise State running back, he was a man amongst boys in their win against Georgia Southern. 267 rushing yards, program record, and 6 rushing touchdowns.
That's nice.
He is amazing. He had a game, and if Boise State is going to be out here getting wins and making life difficult for teams, best believe Ashton Gentry is the one that's behind it. He's the straw that stirs the drink out there in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, those are some great picks, of course. Yeah, I agree with you on both of them. I know we were talking about like Nico Iamaleava all weekend, Chris, and just his ability to throw downfield. And a lot of people were talking about just how accurate he is downfield. Man, he does have a cannon on him. I'd say he's definitely deserving of the award for Chief of the Week. So yeah, Chris, overall, yeah, I like your picks. Ashton Gentry, that's a crazy stat that he had, and being a running back at that position for Boise State. Yeah, he's really going to cause a lot of issues for a lot of teams. But both Gentry and Iamaleava, great picks that you had. For me this week, I have a couple of picks as well. One of them, we talked about him earlier, Cam Ward. He was excellent this week for Miami. He had a big win against the Gators. I mean, what can I say? After a performance like that, I think it's really catapulted him into that Heisman discussion. Of course, so yeah, it was a big week for him, Cam Ward, with well over 300 yards passing. He had 385 yards. He was 26 for 35 with 3 touchdowns, and he did throw that one interception earlier in the game. So really good job for Cam Ward, and we'll see what happens with him as the season continues. My second pick for Chief of the Week, we have Diego Pavia. If you're the first, if you haven't heard that name, be sure to listen to that name going forward this season, because this man has it. He really helped the Commodores defeat the Hokies, Virginia Tech Hokies, over the weekend. He was 12 for 16, 190 yards with 2 touchdowns. And he also had a rushing touchdown as well. So 3 touchdowns overall. And his carries, he had 26 carries, Chris, for 104 yards. So his longest one of the day was 27 yards. So this man was a beast. Yes. on the field. So yeah, hats off. I tip my hat off to that man. He really helped this team win that ball game in overtime, I must say. So yeah, be sure to be on the lookout for that name, Diego Pavia. He's a stud.
Yes, I love your picks as well, Kory. A lot of great performances. Too many to keep. To shut out, but
it was a lot.
Those guys definitely had a great week one, and we'll definitely keep our eyes on them as the season continues, and to see how this Heisman race will shake up, how it'll shake out. We got some big matchups that'll help kind of elevate some guys to different platforms. So we'll see how things play out.
Exactly, I agree with you. Yeah. But that is our Chief of the Week segment. We always will definitely have that player or players, if we can decide on the performances that they've really showed out in college football. We definitely give those kudos out on the Chief of the Week. So be sure to listen out for that each week on the Breakdown Sportscast. But that's it for us on today's show. We appreciate y'all listening in, of course. Outros, Chris, before we head out of here. It was a big week. I know we're going to be talking about week 2 coming up on Friday's show. But yeah, let the good people know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, you can find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12. And you can also find me on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Get at your boy.
Nice, nice. And you can follow me on X as well, at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking college football, professional wrestling, as well. So be sure to get at me on there. But yeah. Another big week, my friend. Had some great games, some great performances that we mentioned. And we're getting ready for a big week in week 2. But before we do that, we got to finish up with tonight's game of Boston College taking on Florida State. So who you got in that game?
I'm gonna say it's a get right game for Florida State. I think they win. I don't know if they get the blowout. I think they do get right and they get the W. Look. I can't just predict Boston College to win this one. Oh my goodness. I gotta go Florida State.
Florida State, for me, I think I'm going to go for Florida State as well. I think they know what's at stake now after losing that Georgia Tech game. I think, as what you said, this is a chance to get right and figure out some things to get right in this ball game. So, I think they should have it figured out. They're going to be back at home for this game. So, picking Florida State as well. So, we'll see what happens.
If they lose this one, sound the alarms, though. Sound the sirens.
Look, I'm going to have to buy a button and just show you when I've sounded off.
Yes. Yeah. If they lose this one, they are in big trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, they up there with Billy Napier. And company. So.
If they lose this one, the state really does belong in Miami.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say that at that point. But yeah, we're gonna definitely see. And it should be a really fun game, Chris. But that's it for the both of us, y'all. Like we always say, we appreciate y'all listening in to the show, and y'all enjoy your Labor Day, rest of your Labor Day. And until next time, I'm Kory Willis. He is Chris Bolton. We will catch y'all later on.
Peace.
Peace.